Hello and welcome back to this video series regarding changes to the ISO 14001 standard that became effective in September 2015. These videos have been developed with facility management teams in mind to provide an overview of the changes to the standard with some hints on planning a transition for your organization. Hello again, my name is Bill Burns. I am an IRCA Registered Principal Auditor and BIAC Certified Responsible Care Auditor and Management Systems Trainer with about 15 years experience in developing and assessing environmental health and safety management systems. I've taken my learning curve and applied it, hopefully, for your benefit. In Part 3, we will explore planning your transition to meet the requirements of the revised standard and timing for your transition visit with your registrar. As the new standard became effective in September 2015, ISO has established a transition timeline of 3 years. Therefore, the current standard expires on September 14, 2018. If you're certifying or recertifying your EMS in early 2016, keep in mind that your certificates expire in less than 3 years now. So transition planning should be on your radar screen and in your resource planning now. The International Accreditation Forum has established guidance for registrars to communicate and plan with certified organizations. In essence, they recommend that transition visits be planned at least 3 months in advance of the last planned surveillance visit of the current registration cycle. This provides organizations time to implement changes to the management system in advance of a recertification audit. So if you're on an annual surveillance cycle, this means that June 14th of 2017 is your end date for conducting a transition visit. If you're on a 6-monthly surveillance cycle, that date is January 14th, 2018. If you wait any longer, your certification is likely to expire and require a complete certification visit, like a Stage 2 visit at your first certification. What are registrars looking for during a transition visit to demonstrate that your management system meets the requirements of the new standard? For starters, the concepts of context of the organization and the greater engagement of leadership are significant changes that need to be demonstrated. An organization's ability to identify and understand interested parties and their expectations should be demonstrated by top management. How the EMS and these external interests impact business strategy through risks and opportunity should be demonstrated too. Conducting auditing of the whole of the revised management system using process-based auditing is to be expected. This should be done by internal auditors who have demonstrated competency in auditing to the new requirements. If you recall, in Part 2 of this series, we talked about process-based auditing. So that's something that's going to be expected with a transition visit. Finally, a management review of the revised management system, including review of transition visit outcomes, will need to be demonstrated. As mentioned in Part 2, the required documented information, documents and records in the new standard are different. Here we show a listing of required documents. Notice how all the elements in Clause 9 and 10 do not require a procedure behind them. Recognizing the growing use of electronic tools for monitoring, evaluation of compliance, non-conformity management, and even internal auditing in some cases, the processes are often defined within the tools employed and can effectively manage the process required by the standard. Again, changes to the standard affect required records to be maintained. As just mentioned, many of these processes are now managed electronically using a variety of commercial or in-house tracking tools, yet distribution and access to this documented information continues to be a requirement. So keep that in mind in evaluating the tools that you're using. While some procedures are no longer required, many clients of mine have maintained and improved procedures for all the former 17 elements of the 2004 standard. There is still likely benefit from maintaining these procedures. There's also likely opportunity to create procedures around the new concepts so that they can be communicated within the organization and produce consistent results across sites within a multi-site organization. Here we provide suggestions for consideration for a core set of procedures to guide your organization through the transition period with some hints on what to include. As I've experienced in the past, initial systems elements are built out and implemented. Later, organizations find ways to optimize and consolidate procedures and records. It's likely your organization will go through that experience once again. In Part 3, we reviewed the transition timeline and registrar expectations. We also took a look at what documented information is required, along with some realistic suggestions for the journey. Again, take a look at ISO 14001:2015, Annex A, Guidance on the Use of the Standard for more detail on the significance of changes to your management system. Thank you for your time. If you have questions, please feel free to email me at bbarnes@compliance-design.com for further consultation.